Thank you. For as long as I can remember, I have been obsessed with Oprah Winfrey. I love her. Growing up, I think I learned more from watching the Oprah Winfrey Show after school than I did in actual school. I wanted to be her so badly that I majored in journalism and dreamed of having my own talk show. You might be thinking, poor thing, I've never heard of her. This obviously didn't happen for her. And if so, you'd be wrong. I do have my own talk show. You just can't check it out on your local listings. But every day, I interview people about their life, their stories, and their struggles. Now, my LinkedIn profile says 11-year high school Spanish teacher, but that's just semantics. Oprah interviewed over 37,000 people. She found that everybody from prisoners to Prince needed just the same two things. Do you see me? And does what I say matter? These two questions have become my compass north. And I'm going to advocate that teachers should see themselves as hosts through three ways: student stories, protecting presence, and reinforcement. Number one, student stories. Everything amazing that's happened to me as a teacher / show host is because I was obsessed with emulating Oprah as an interviewer. Making a lot of time in my classroom to hear kids' stories so that they could feel seen and heard. Creating an undercurrent of empathy in my room and a sense of belonging. Now, I messed this up for too long. My show ratings were low. I thought it was about how I could control the kids, until I realized it's about how I can connect the kids. Now I give myself a strict rule. If I've been talking for more than 10 minutes, it's time for me to go down into the audience and pass off my mic. I'll tell you a story. My family and I lived in Spain for 5 years. It was a difficult and amazing time in our life. We had a tiny apartment. We traveled all over the world, and both of my kids went to Spanish public schools. We moved back to the States last year, and on this particular day, I was driving to school with my kids. My daughter was sitting shotgun, and I was prepping for a talk similar to this on student stories. And so I thought to ask her, hey, Sammy, how many of your teachers have asked you about your life in Spain? She literally started laughing. Mom, nobody asks us that. They don't care. They're teaching. Well, I was frustrated, and I was really sad. I felt like my child wasn't being seen. Here she was, little Sammy Sue. She's fluent in 3 languages. She's been all over the world. Her best friends were refugees from the war in Ukraine and from Venezuela, and she lived through COVID in Spain. I was also sad. They'd really missed an opportunity to see my child and for my kid to be connected to others. And so I realized I was also really frustrated. I was frustrated. Why do we go all the way across the world for 5 years if all of these experiences and these stories are going to stay trapped in our head? As teachers, we have such an amazing opportunity every day to connect with our kids. It's a privilege. So the more we know about who we teach, the more effective we can be with what we teach. So, student stories are everything. Number 2, protecting presence. When Oprah had anyone on her couch, she was laser focused. She's a master at being where her feet are. When I grew up, I had to do a fundraiser. I don't know if you remember these, but you had to sell chocolate bars. They came in like a white chocolate cardboard box, and they had this cute little handle, and you felt like you had a little briefcase, and you walked down the street, and you had to sell your 30 bars for $1 a piece, and each of these 30 bars represented 30 awkward conversations that you had to have with your friends and your neighbors. Well, now, for fundraisers, I send 20 email addresses to my son's coach, and then a bot begs my friends and family for money. Technology has really taken away a lot of the social practice for our kids. But they need this practice. And if they're not getting it outside of school, then we should be giving it to them inside of school. We should be modeling and practicing social skills. Our workforce and our mental health sectors are desperately in need of this. A lot of my students don't even see each other and spend time together face to face. There's FaceTime, Snapchat, and video games. So, I'm begging teachers to battle cell phones. We can control their experience while they're in our room, so let's give them connection instead of cheap dopamine. There is no sadder and louder silence than a room full of kids hunched over their phone. And that's why I brought this all the way to the red carpet. It's my favorite school supply. Kids know to come in, pocket their phone. There's not really any complaining because they're bought in. They know the why. I promise I'm going to deliver engaging instruction, and they promise to commit to each other. It's not punitive. It's not distrusting. It's about prioritizing the people in these four walls. Meaningful relations over push notifications. A team commitment to being where our feet are. Number 3, reinforcement. Part of the Oprah magic was not only that she carefully extracted people's stories, it's that she helped us make sense of these stories. As teachers, we can help our kids make sense of their stories and of themselves. My favorite way to do this is by writing individual emails. I catch my kids being awesome, and then I broadcast their episode. It goes like this. Dear Jaden, I recognize that this class doesn't come as easily to you as it does to your peers, but I'm writing to tell you that you have something they don't have. One of your many talents is connecting with people. You notice when they need lifting up, and then you take the initiative to act. You use your popularity to spread kindness. I saw you wishing a freshman good luck on their game, and what you don't know is that kid was my son, and you are his idol. I couldn't pick a better person for my son to emulate. You're a leader, humble and hardworking, and I am so proud of you. I've included your parents and your coaches on this email so that your village knows the quality of your character and the depth of your talent. I can't wait to see what good you do in this world. All my love, go Raptors. Like Oprah, I'm just holding a mirror up for them and calling out specifically each of the characteristics that makes them amazing. The qualities that we honor and celebrate in others are the qualities that they're going to honor and celebrate in themselves. So let's loudly celebrate empathy over A's, risk-taking over class ranking, and progress over perfection. We are social creatures, and the research says that the key to our happiness is the quality of our relationship. So if we figured out that quality relationships are the key to our happiness, then let's practice this in school. Let's ask them often and listen up, and then pass the mic over to the people that need the most help in finding their voice. My talk is all about stories. Since you're all here, I'll end with a story. Every year, I make my kids do bucket lists. These are the things that we want to do in our life, and we share them with each other, and then I always post them around the room. I want them to see their goals throughout the year and hold each other accountable. On this particular year, I had this really sweet student, Olivia, and she was really going through it at home. It was a tough year for her, something that nobody should have to be going through, especially at the age of 16. And then she found out that her grandfather had died. Well, we just felt terrible for her as a class. So we took her bucket list off of the wall and took a look at it. Noticed that one of the things said, ride a hot air balloon. I was like, we could do this. So we gathered up a lot of money, and I found a coupon for a local balloon company, and we quickly realized that a ticket for one is just scary, so we raised enough money for two, and then we had to figure out when Olivia was coming back, so we had to make our plan. Okay, so Olivia gets back And we won't let her in the room yet. Keep her out in the hallway. And inside the room, we've taken her whole bucket list and written all of it all across the whiteboard in huge font. So outside, Olivia's blindfolded. We lead her into the room carefully, and we walk, and we're geeking out. We walk all the way to the whiteboard, and we put a marker in her hand, an expo marker, and we take that marker and we cross off together, hand in hand, ride a hot air balloon. Well, she takes off of her blindfold, and the whole room was just a mess. In that moment, I got the privilege to see someone feel seen. So, my challenge to you is ask people for their bucket list so you can send them up in their hot air balloons. Sit people down on your couch and go get all those stories out of their head. Protect presence, and then broadcast their beauty. That's a wrap for this episode, and I leave you with love. I see you, and what you say matters. Thank you.